In this module, we will be learning how to assess distance visual acuity. In this module, you will learn how to define distance visual acuity, how to understand the different visual acuity tests, how to assess distance visual acuity in children, how to choose the most appropriate visual acuity test to use, and how to record and interpret the results of a distance visual acuity test. Distance visual acuity is a measure of the patient's ability to resolve fine detail. The test determines the smallest optotype the child can read on a standardized chart. Visual acuity tests are a routine part of eye examinations and general physical exams. There is no discomfort associated with the test. Visual acuity results may be expressed in either the imperial system as feet or the metric system as meters. If you are working in the metric system instead of the imperial system, here is a quick conversion chart. For example, 20 over 20 feet equates to 6.6 in meters. In the remainder of this module, we will be using the imperial system. You may be familiar with the term 20 over 20 vision. The term 20/20 is a measure of the visual acuity and is commonly referred to as perfect or normal vision. The numerator is the distance from the participant to the chart, or the viewing distance. The numerator stays consistent if the test distance remains the same, as it will during the screening. The denominator is the distance at which a person with normal vision would be able to read the optotypes the examinee can read at the viewing distance. For example, if you were to have 20 over 40 vision, this means you see at 20 feet what a person with normal vision would be able to see at 40 feet. When setting up for testing visual acuity, you will need a few items: a visual acuity screening device, such as a flip chart or a monitor, a secure surface for your visual acuity device, such as a table, a stable chair, and a measuring tape to measure the distance from the visual acuity device to the chair. There are several different types of visual acuity tests available. We will go over the more common types of visual acuity tests that you may encounter. The first test we will discuss is the Snellen chart. There is no standard Snellen chart, as the letter size sequences, number of letters, and variety of letters vary between manufacturers. The advantage of Snellen charts is that they are widely available. To test visual acuity using a Snellen chart, the child must be competent with the alphabet, so it is best for older children. Now we will provide a brief overview on performing distance visual acuity. When assessing distance visual acuity, ensure that the chart is at the appropriate testing distance. Most importantly, ask if the child normally wears vision correction. If they do, ensure they are wearing their eyeglasses or contact lenses. Have the child sit on a fixed chair with an unobscured view of the test chart. You should sit in front and to one side of the child. Introduce yourself and engage with the child in a friendly manner throughout the test. Smile and build rapport to get the child to feel more comfortable. Fill out as much of the demographic information as possible on your designated recording chart. Identify the child's familiarity and competency with the alphabet by asking the child, "Do you know your letters?" If the child says yes, is unsure, or gives an inconclusive answer, test the child by having them read a few letters at the 2100 line with both eyes open. If they demonstrate competency with the letters, then you can proceed using the Snellen chart. If they are unfamiliar with the alphabet, nonverbal, or have a language barrier, use one of the alternate distance visual acuity charts. Next, inform the child that you will be testing one eye at a time, so you will be using an occluder to cover their eye. If the child is uncomfortable with the occluder, demonstrate it on yourself first to show the occluder is harmless and allow them to try it out as well. If the child is old enough to occlude their eye without peeking, allow them to do so. If the child is holding the occluder themselves, tell them to hold it right up to their nose. If you are holding the occluder for the child, anchor it in front of their eye by placing your fingers on the child's forehead. Occlusion of the eye must be total. During testing, both eyes should be open, including the eye behind the occluder. Start by testing the right eye first by occluding the left eye. Ensure the child is not tilting their head, leaning forward, peeking, or squinting their eyes, as this aids the child's ability to see the image and does not provide an accurate reading. When switching from testing the right eye to the left eye, cover the eye with the occluder first and then change the letter or symbol combination. Once the left eye has been occluded, we can begin the test. Start by showing appropriate optotypes at the 2050 line and ask the child to identify the first optotype. Make sure that the line that is being identified has a line below and above it. If the child is unable to identify the full line of optotypes, increase the size and then go back down in size as appropriate. Make sure to provide genuine encouragement and praise after all attempts. It is important to include crowding when testing visual acuity, which is why all visual acuity tests that we are discussing will use lines of letters, symbols, or contour bars. Certain visual disorders can be missed, such as amblyopia, if single optotypes are used, because visual acuity can be overestimated without contour interaction. This is why a standard Snellen chart should be used rather than a single-letter Snellen chart. Charts with symbols have contour bars to provide a crowded chart and help with the detection of visual disorders. When increasing or reducing optotype size, ensure the line being identified is crowded by lines above and below. Once the child accurately identifies a complete line of optotypes, have them identify each line below that until the child is no longer able to recognize any more optotypes clearly and correctly. If the child is able to identify more than 50% of the optotypes in a line, then move on to the next line. For example, for lines with 4 or 5 letters, 3 correct letters is a pass. Record your results. Now we will watch a short video on vision screening a child who knows their letters.
Hi Lily, my name is Brad, and today we're going to get your eyes checked. Are you ready? Excellent. You want to hold the spoon or should I? Very good. Can you hold all your letters yet? Good job. Okay, Lily, how old are you now?
7.5.
You're 7.5. Do you wear glasses?
No.
Good. Okay, so look at the screen. And which eye are you going to cover up first? That one first. Excellent. Okay, Lily, can you start from the top and read me all of those letters one by one?
ARKSOUDHZKSN.
Lean back, it's okay.
BAGCRDK.
No thinking. I want to make sure you're just using that. Good job. Okay, keep it covered. And we're going to make them a little bit smaller.
Next, we will discuss alternate distance visual acuity charts that can be used. Leah symbols are used for children who are unable to identify letters, are nonverbal, or have a language barrier. The Leah test involves matching symbols on the chart to a Leah key card. The card contains 4 symbols. The Leah chart uses targets of familiar objects. The symbols used are of a ball, house, apple, and a box. Give the child the Leah lap card. Display Leah symbols at a large optotype size of 2100 and have the child point and identify each symbol using both eyes together. This ensures that the child is not looking at the symbol for the first time at a smaller size. The child may have a different name for the symbol than what the symbol actually is. Use this assigned name as being correct if the child is using it consistently for that symbol. For example, if the child identifies the house as an arrow consistently, then accept the arrow as being correct. An alternate test type is the HOTV, which is similar to Leah symbols. The steps for using the HOTV are identical to testing with Leah symbols. Here is an example of vision screening a child who is unfamiliar with their letters.
My name is Brad, and today we're going to check your vision. Are you ready? Excellent. Okay, look at the screen. Can you tell me what that is?
A square.
That's a square. Can you show it to me on here? That's very good. Okay, I'm going to change it up again. Can you tell me what that is?
Arrow.
Yeah, it's an arrow. Very good. What's that one? Get a little bit harder. Do you want to hold this spoon or should I? You don't worry. And which eye do you want to cover up first?
I want to see.
Can you cover up one of your eyes with the spoon?
Yes.
Yeah, that one. Excellent. Okay, so look at the screen. And because you were so good at it, we're going to make it a little bit harder, okay?
Okay.
And do you see the top ones there?
Yes.
I'm going to help you with the spoon, and we're going to make sure that eye gets covered. Perfect. What's that top shape there?
Is it the first one?
Yeah, the very first one.
Is it this one?
Yeah, it is. What about the one next to it? Excellent. What about the one next to it? Excellent. Keep going. What's the next one?
Lastly, we will discuss the Tumbling E Test. This test can also be used for children who are unfamiliar with their letters, are nonverbal or have a language barrier. It has the added benefit of keeping children with a short attention span engaged. To complete this test, the child simply has to point in the direction that the E is facing. Up, down, left, or right. So there is no need for naming or matching symbols or letters. To help you with children who are having difficulty with the test, here are some tips for assessing distance visual acuity. If a child is skipping letters or symbols or is unable to complete a line, you can try pointing to each letter or symbol or ask the child to go backwards. Do not switch the line combination. Reassure and gently push the child to continue to identify the smaller optotypes. Let them know that it is okay to guess. Give praise even if the child's answer is incorrect. Now that we've finished going through each test, we will discuss how to record and interpret the results of a distance visual acuity test. This is the same no matter what visual acuity chart you use with the child. When recording visual acuity on the data chart, record the last row where the child passed, which would be the line where the child was able to get greater than 50% of the optotypes correct. For example, if a child reads the 20/20 line with the right eye, OD, and the 20/40 line with the left eye, OS, then you would record these numbers as is displayed here. If you are required to determine if the child passes the visual acuity test, then double-check your pass criteria. Additionally, if the child was unable to do any of the tests or showed signs of malingering, make a note of this, as the child should receive a referral to an eye care specialist. Lastly, we will briefly discuss the use of different visual acuity devices. A simple system such as a Snellen chart or a flip chart will require a standardized distance. Generally, these devices require 10 or 20 feet between the child and the chart. The benefit of such devices are that they are inexpensive and portable. The disadvantages include the limited ability to change the optotype combination, meaning you cannot quickly switch to a different test if one is not available. In contrast, more complex devices such as the M&S system or online vision screening software do have the added benefit of being able to accommodate many locations, as you can input the distance between the screen and the child into the program settings. You can manually change the optotype size and combination. You can choose the type of test based on the child's abilities. You are not limited to only one test type. For example, you can easily switch from Snellen to the Tumbling E Test if the child is struggling. The online vision screening software can be performed remotely on an electronic device such as a laptop or a tablet equipped with a webcam, and does not require the physical presence of a vision screener. The disadvantages include the online vision screening software requires access to the internet. Certain devices such as the M&S system must be set up at the screening location, so vision screener must be present. This concludes the module Assessing Distance Visual Acuity. To summarize, in this module we learned how to define distance visual acuity and interpret results, how to assess distance visual acuity in verbal and nonverbal children, and tips for completing the test, and finally how to record the results on the datasheet.